What is up, everyone? How's it going, guys? We're gonna play a league with our new Murktide list. I'll go ahead and show you guys. I'll hop in the queue, but this is the new list. Some updates. I think Force of Negation has gotten stronger with the rise of Tron. I think that's one of the best ways to fight them. And then Commandeer in the sideboard. If we get paired against Tron, you'll get to see what that card does. But I think I'll board it against any deck playing the One Ring, basically. Okay, this hand is a keep. We have two considers. We have a bolt and a scolding and a counter spell. Like this hand just probably plays really well in the control role, getting a lot of card advantage, filling the graveyard well if we find Murktide, so fan of this hand. Okay, we'll definitely top a land. Then we can just pass again. It is definitely important these days. I feel like traditionally you might have wanted to hold your considers for longer, but now, especially with the rise of Bowmaster, I'm more eager to spend my considers early. Okay, so we're playing against Living End. Our hand is reasonably situated against Living End. The problem would be if they have Violent Outburst, Force of Negation, but any of their Shardless draws should be pretty beatable with double counterspell and a Stern Scolding. Obviously, Ragavan definitely at its best here. And we would like to, well, okay, we'll just keep drawing lands though. I mean, drawing a Ragavan would be nice, but at this point it's like not necessary. It might not be necessary. Though having double expressive iteration is kind of annoying. If they do have the violent outburst here, it could be trouble. Haters of Stern Scolding in shambles right now as we counter their grief and get to keep both our counter spells. Okay, there's no way they have Force of Negation also, right? This would actually just be like they just have the nut draw. If we draw a land, we're very likely to win this game, but unless they have Force of Negation. Oh, they do? Really? Okay. Well, we were just never winning then. That's pretty annoying. Um, can we... Let's see. We can bolt the grief. Oh, this is not, even this is not, wait, we should F5. We can draw a land. I think we need to like draw, okay. Unlucky. So we have Chalice, Spell Pierce, maybe some more Scoldings, maybe Dispute. Commandeer does nothing. Subtlety could be fine if we can cut enough stuff. Blood Moon's not good anymore because they have Generous End. So the easy cuts are the heats, probably bolts. So we'll just do this, probably. This just says gain control of target non-creature soil. You may choose new targets for. Yeah, that's not good. So we're basically just with this sideboard plan, we're essentially forcing them to have Force of Negation, Violent Outburst, which is like they can still have it sometimes, but I think it puts us in a better spot than the alternative, which is letting them have like grief also getting us a decent amount of the time. Okay. Let's fetch that away. We don't need more lands, because we're gonna ride these Ragavans all the way. I'm not gonna play the Chalice out because we could draw like a Pierce or something else to protect it. Though I guess there's definitely a chance they could grief us, given they saw Stern Scolding. I wonder if they grief more aggressively here. Um, and if that's the case, then we would regret not playing Chalice on one, but drawing like having a lot of looks. All right, let's attack them. Um, and then I think we can bobble ourselves. And if our top card is not a counter spell, we'll just jam the Chalice now. Top card's just another land. Alright, I'm jamming the Chalice here. I don't want to give them more draws towards... Basically, I don't want to give them more draws towards a force if we're just drawing bricks like this. Okay, and they just scoop it up. Nice. Okay, Chalice is good. That works. That works. We might even be meant to play like 2 Chalice, 1 EE. Maybe Chalice is just the better card right now because then you still get the collateral against Rhinos, but get to double down on your living end hate because we're not playing the Tormod's Crypt. Um, Mostly the key to Rhinos is just to mulligan pretty aggressively. That's what I find at least. Uh, Man. This is a tough one. I always like to keep Ragavan, but this one is definitely on the dicier side because it just gets picked apart by any counter. I mean, we have a lot of counters to draw to, and the Ragavan plus iteration is pretty great. So I think we'll keep Dragon Rage Channeler. Not the worst, but not really the best. Come on, counterspell. Maybe we should have mulliganed. I'm having regrets. I am experiencing regrets. And okay, well, this is pretty sketchy. Oh, okay, that's good news for us. I'm not sure what they have, but their hand is on the slower side. This means they definitely do have Cascade. Oh, they just kept a 2-lander. Okay. I can work with that. Shoot, now I wish we had shocked because we could have bolted. Damn. Okay, that was pretty loose of us. Of me. Maybe. Oh, milling that would have been really nice. Shoot. Okay. Yeah, I really messed that up. Um, let's cast iteration here. They have dispute. Okay. Okay, so they have to hit.
No.
They have to hit a land here, and even if they do, their living end is not very scary. Okay.
Mhm.
Alright, I think we're gonna win. Their hand just kinda failed. We can upkeep this bolt.
Yeah.
Gives us scry 2. Maybe we're supposed to bolt on their turn actually, so they can.
Yeah,
Oh
because I got
yeah,
force.
yeah, yeah. That was bad.
Oh.
Okay, consider on top is good. Yeah, we definitely should have bolted on their turn. I'm playing too quickly. Always consider everything. Because if we bolt on their turn and their upkeep,
They
then they
force it.
have to force hardcast, but then they lose. The bolt upkeep was cute to get the surveil, but it wasn't actually what is important, I don't think.
Um,
Casting Grief seems pretty good here to me. Um, I don't think they can counter it, and I think it'll take away a Cascader potentially. Yeah, I'm gonna cast Grief. Oh wait, oops. Okay, so they just have a lot of Cascade spells. Fair enough. Wow, they have a lot of Cascade spells. Oh, I guess we don't want to take the Shardless Agent. Oh, it doesn't matter, right? Oh, no, no. If they Cascade on their turn, it's potentially better for us because okay, yeah. Well, we really messed up. If we just bolted in their upkeep, we win this game. So hopefully it doesn't cost us. That'd be sad. We get a DRC back. They get a Curator. We can take Delirium away, but our Murktide won't be that big. And then they can go again, but then do we just want to consider now? Probably, right? My guess is we just have bricks on top. Oh, I guess Bobble on top is fine. Counterspell. Ooh, Force of Negation's pretty interesting. Um, let's exile. Both Baubles and a Consider. One Ragavan and the extra lands. Make a 4/4. And then next turn we can Murktide to make it a 5/5. And have another 4/4. Actually, wait, hold on. I mean, that I don't actually. I think that was probably bad also, because they could, if they grief us here, now it randomly means that our Murktide trades with their Curator. Man, I am not playing this game well. I'm like making mistakes and then noticing right after, but not the right time to notice your mistakes. You should try to catch it beforehand. Um, but just all these things are things you have to consider when you're playing the game. So I guess hopefully that at least is informative for everyone. Oh, and we also just
It's
got like
fine, but
we also just got really lucky, right? That we Now we can play Murktide. They had what was in their hand? Their hand was they have one violent outburst and then some unknowns. So the question is, do we play around them having another force of negation or not? If they have another force of negation along with this violent outburst, it's really bad for us. But they need to have like force of negation plus blue card. Yeah, we should have just made a 5/5 there. I don't know what I was thinking. Or what I wasn't thinking. More accurately. Alright, I mean, we'll do this. I feel like I did everything in my power to, oh, okay.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely good. I guess they decided casting Living End here would not be very, like, it wouldn't do enough for them in this spot, so they're just going to, we actually might be supposed to, like, chump attack this DRC also. Because then if they block it, then two DRCs come back if they do resolve a Living End, which would put us in a good spot. Alright, now we should be in good shape here. Okay, generous Ent, sure. That's fine. Okay, this game has been quite the roller coaster. Nice. Okay. Well, we kind of got away with one there. I definitely recommend thinking through your plays more. I don't know why I was playing so fast, but uh, like that game was definitely locked to be ours after they stumbled. And then we played into Force of Negation, which was the only way they could stay in it. So definitely interesting to notice those spots and be pretty critical of them. How did the list feel at the team tournament today, Charles? Charles played at a team tournament, played
Not
some
so bad.
Murktide. Not so bad, you said?
I mean, I didn't play against Tron.
Didn't face Tron, yeah, but you
Oh,
went
yeah.
you went like 4-1, right? Overall or 5-1?
3-1-1.
A
3-1-1.
3-1-1. Okay, sure. Oh, we've got the classic combination of Ragavan plus Force of Negation. We'll see if that can win us this game. Unholy Heat. Do we want a Force of Negation in the mirror? Stern Scolding is not great in the mirror, so I'm kind of okay just pitching the Stern Scolding, seeing if our Ragavan hits something. If it is in fact the mirror, which it does seem like it's the mirror, but you don't know for sure. Nothing. We can cast Consider now. Yeah, because we'll take a DRC here and just like max out our pressure basically. If they have another removal spell, then they get to stay in the game, but if they don't, then they're in really bad shape. Like any creature here is just going to be losing for them. DRC. Okay. They might also have a just double DRC. Oh, I should have bolted in response because of I guess now I don't have to. I can upkeep the bolt. Unless I'm afraid of force negation, which I might be. Do I want to use this treasure here is the question. I can slam Murktide next turn, potentially as a 7. If we mill over a spell here. Alright, let's play around Force of Negation and try to set up a Murktide. They could definitely have Subtlety is the only problem, I think, but milling this Conceitor probably clues them in that we do have the Murktide, but I'm not sure there's like actually a ton they can do about it. Oh, Counterspell. Okay. I think we should just attack with both. We'll trade with the DRC, and then we'll force them to have Subtlety. If they don't have Subtlety, we win probably, because then we also have Counterspell up. If they do have Subtlety, we are pretty sad. But not all hope is lost. Okay. Because now we get to have the Counterspell up next turn. They could have an Odawara, but they're taking 7 first. They're not really able to removal spell it, and I'm pretty sure they don't have a removal spell, or they would have killed our guy. Looks like they're like gonna iterate and dig towards Odawara. So yeah, I don't think Force of Negation is like particularly great in the mirror, but it can sometimes do some work. I don't think we're gonna cast the iteration here. I actually am kind of tempted to just get in for 8. Because then we can counterspell next turn, and then iteration to get Delirium. Seems pretty good to me. This also might just force a block because they might have to play around Lightning Bolt. Like this kind of screams Lightning Bolt, I think. So yeah, they are just gonna be forced to block. Now they have to show me Odawara. Bolt? Are they gonna go Bolt plus Heat? If they have Pierce, they also live. Oh, gross. Or do they have another Heat? Ouch. Oh, they have nothing. Okay. That works. Nice. So sideboarding, I think we'll bring in Spell Pierce, we'll bring in Mystical Dispute. We might even consider Dress Downs, we'll bring in Subtlety. I don't love Scolding, I don't like Force of Negation very much. I don't
Do you
like...
bring cast into the fire?
Sorry?
Do you bring cast into the fire?
Yeah, I could see Cast into the Fire being worth it, just because it answers Hearse.
Yeah.
Do we want to board anything else? Maybe it's possible we can just keep one Scolding. I also wonder if DRC is just like better in the mirror now because if everyone has subtleties, like DRCs are more protected basically. Um, what I mean by that is like you can like no people aren't playing Shredder, which was one reason DRC was bad, and also now you have a lot more answers to opposing Murktides. Like you can evoke your subtlety. So in that case, like a lot of the reasons why DRC was risky because I like had to make like a suicide attack are less relevant, and DRC is just like such a powerful engine that like maybe we just wanna cut the stern scolding. What if we keep DRCs and we don't bring dress downs and we just don't bring spell pierce? What if we just do these? Let's try this.
Then you told me when you were on the draw you got some Ragavan. I mean, previously ago.
Well, I think that things have. I I I,
Played a lot.
I hypothesize things have changed because of Ledger. Like I think Ledger Shredder was a big dynamic in the whole decision, like the whole decision making process there. Um, Maybe we can shave a Ragavan for a spell pierce still. I think spell pierce is very good to protect your counter spells in your iterations and get their stuff. I think okay, let's try this and then on the play we'll bring the Ragavan back in. I think that's a good way to do it. Hmm. They keep. This hand has the upside of lots of the spells that we like to see. Murktide, Iteration, Consider. The Ragavan's kind of awkward, and if they have a Ragavan turn 1, it's especially awkward. If they kept in DRC, it's also awkward. Okay, well, I think that we just have to let that resolve. Subtletying a Ragavan is just like no bueno. I think that it's just too much of a swing in their favor. So now they know about a subtlety. That's not really great for us because subtlety is kind of better when they like overextend and jam into it, and then you get to blow them out. Though hardcast subtlety is also pretty reasonable. Uh oh. Okay. Well, we did board and cast into the fire. We have 8 outs. Unholy Heat. There's one of our outs gone. Uh. Oh, nice. Okay, let's. In that case, let's in their upkeep. Let's bolt Ragavan. Nice. Oh my god. Okay, maybe that was a mistake to bolt an upkeep. I mean, the good news is they haven't hit any spells, so we're actually doing fine on that front. But the Ragavan is still pretty annoying. I don't think this Ragavan is what we want. Pretty sure we want to bin that. Hmm. So they have Ragavan and 3 unknowns, and we're considering if they have a counter. They didn't counter the bolt on Ragavan because they had a dash. If they have another counter, what would they do? We could bobble ourselves here for some info on if we want to cast the iteration or not. I'm not sure if that actually is going to give us any info. It doesn't actually really help us. Let's just bobble them. DRC. It's pretty good. Alright, we'll pass. It's pretty hard to iterate in this spot because they could either have a counter or we could miss on the land. So I think that getting the extra 2 looks before we iterate is probably worth it. On the other hand, the upside is very high because so they fetched away the DRC. The upside is pretty high because playing a Murktide that's at least a 7 is, as we saw from last game, very good. Dash Ragavan. Okay. Okay, well, bolts. Hmm. I am somewhat tempted to play this iteration now. The reason being, then we can Murktide next turn if we decide we want to. Or we can hold up Subtlety, depending on what our opponent does. But I guess they could have Pierce in their range still. I think they would have Pierce to protect the Ragavan, but maybe they wouldn't. This iteration also helps us find removal spells, potentially. Okay, so counterspell to hand is probably what we want here. Even though the iteration's very good, Murktide plus counterspell is probably just a 1-2 punch. I'm trying to piece together what I think their hand might be. I could definitely see it being a removal spell, at least one, because we haven't played any creatures. They do have Delirium. So because this resolved, I don't think they have Spell Pierce. I also don't think it's extremely likely they have Counterspell. They could have a Murktide in hand. It's pretty close in that case. If we think they have removal and Murktide in hand, the removal is what's concerning because if we can't protect this Murktide Regent, then maybe we just want to take the second iteration anyways. Alright, never turn down an iteration. That's the motto to live by. Now the lands come flowing in. If they pass with Subtlety up, we're not going to play Murktide into Hardcast Subtlety, in case that's what their sideboard plan is. DRC. Okay. They still know about one of our subtleties also.
I feel like they have a Murktide.
I think they might have a Murktide also.
Yeah, and a couple of removal.
That's that's pretty similar to what I have them on. So then the question is, how do we go proceed from here? Casting the iteration doesn't seem horrible still because they didn't have a counterspell last time, so they probably don't have one this time. This can just answer the DRC, which seems pretty nice. And another iteration to hand too. Wow. Is there any chance we want to play our own DRC to draw out some of their removal if we think that's what they have. Well, there's still a possibility they're on subtlety, so I think that that's probably a poor choice. We'll play a fetch first. Okay, we'll pass. Cycle Lorian revealed. You don't want to cast that? That's a draw 3.
Yeah.
So their hand must be
A lot.
a lot of spells. That's what that tells us. That tells us they have a lot of spells. I'm just gonna fetch a Steam Vents here. Oh, I'm just gonna play land pass here. Hmm. The more this happens, the more I become suspicious they might have a subtlety of their own. But now we could play a Murktide and have subtlety up for their subtlety. Let's make this Murktide, so they have 1, 2 spells. Let's just make it an 8/8, I think. Just to be sure that they can't fill up their yard. Yep, here comes subtlety. But we have a subtlety for their subtlety. They know that we have subtlety for subtlety though, so they might just have a counter spell also. Then we have to evoke subtlety pitching iteration. So maybe. Oh. Okay. Well,
Well, that's
if this is just all working, this is very good for us. And this unholy heat lets us
okay.
attack or block with our subtlety into their potential Murktide. So even if they can answer ours, we're still in great shape here. So I think this is going well. They put subtlety on the bottom, so they don't have subtlety anymore. I would not be surprised for them to just have like Bolt plus Unholy Heat here for Murktide, but that puts us at a very big advantage card-wise. Are you saying something, Charles? Because I can't really
No,
hear you.
no, no.
Oh, okay. Oh, they're just end step Unholy Heating Subtlety. I don't know why they are using the treasure there.
Why they eat your solitude anyway?
I'm not sure why they heated Subtlety there.
Oh, maybe how many instances do they have?
They're
I think they
playing
want to
their.
make it bigger.
Oh, they have a Murktide, sure.
And
It's just a 5/5, so I'm not really concerned.
another one?
So a 5/5 and a 6/6. Then we just get to heat one of them if they double block. If they don't double block, we'll heat anyways. Or if a 6/6 and a 4/4. No reason to burn a subtlety there when we have the heat. Um,
Maybe you can find another one.
yeah, I am wondering if we should iterate here. So the thought is we probably want to leave up subtlety. We probably want to find a counter spell though. I feel like iterate looking for counter spell is good. That like just locks the game up basically. Spell pierce doesn't count. Though I probably will still take spell pierce to hand. No, I'll take the island. Huh. Do we want to play the DRC? Yeah, I think playing the DRC is probably good. Even though it means taking down subtlety, I don't think we need the subtlety. Alright. We should definitely heat the Murktide now, in case they draw counterspell. Okay. I'll top Lorien revealed. Ancestral Recall sounds good to me. Awesome. Alright, we got it. Let's go to match number 3. I'm gonna go grab some water and we'll be right back. Okay, we won the die roll. That's always a good thing. This hand, not so much. Yeah, this hand, I don't really think we can keep this. If we miss on the land, it's just game over, and we need to hit a red source, so that's 15 outs. 3 looks at 15 outs. Well, we can pull up a hypergeometric. This is a tool I use sometimes when I'm playing Magic Online. It tells you the probability of something. So we have 53 cards, and we have 15 successes and 3 looks. Number of successes need 1. The probability is 64%. But that means that the other other 46% of the time, or 36% of the time, sorry, we just lose. So 36% of the time we just lose. Or we don't actually just lose necessarily, but it's pretty bad. If we main phase this, we get 4 more outs from Mishra's Bubble to redraw. I've kind of talked myself in. No, actually, I'm not going to main phase it, but I am going to keep, I think. I think piercing is too important. They could be on, like, a deck that, like, if they're on Tron, for example, we might want to pierce. Bogle.
We're playing in Bogles.
We are playing against Bogles. Oh, and there's a Mishra's Bubble. Well, we would have binned it anyways. Okay. Well, we got the land. I'm not sure really what our path forward here is. Our plan, I guess, basically is just to like counter their stuff and then play Murktide region and race them. So I'm gonna use counterspell this turn, because next turn I want to
Duration.
next turn I want to iteration and have spell pierce. Yep. Please play like glade cover. Okay, this I think I can let this one resolve. I really need to focus on countering like the ethereal armor and I'll just counter this.
When was the last time you played Bogles?
It's been a while. So post board it actually gets a lot better because we get EEs and we get access to
And dress down.
dress down, yeah.
Do you like subtlety against him?
Yeah, subtlety seems great.
Because
Anything
I know
anything that
on
can just like keep their boggle off the table that gives us a chance to counterspell. Maybe subtlety on the play, because then we can have stern scolding up. Stern
yeah,
scolding. Speaking of, stern scolding seems great.
yeah.
Counterspell to hand, bauble to exile. And then if we draw a land in the top two, we're kind of in great shape. Oh, I guess if they have a land, we're not in great shape. 1 second. Yeah, if they play a land, they just play around Pierce here. Yikes. That's really bad. Now they have a 4/4. We get to pierce this one, and then play a 7/7. The question is, can we race?
Well, you want to block?
Ooh, Force of Negation's also potentially pretty nice. So they can't attack. Then we attack for 7. They attack for 4. Do they have Path to Exile in their main deck? Is that what's happening here? Potentially. Okay. Well, we will cast Counterspell and hope they don't have another enchantment. Their last card should be like Core Spirit Dancer. That would be cool.
What's that?
If they had the other enchantment, they would have played it last turn when once defenses were down, wouldn't they have?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think you are
well,
correct. So we
yeah,
can we attack,
for
we take 5.
14 for us.
Charles, can you
Yep.
make sure to mute if you're talking to someone in the background.
Yeah.
Alright, unless you're talking about the game, but I can't tell. Alright, so wait, we attack. They go to 11. They attack us. We go to 8. We attack. They go to 4. They attack us. We go to 3. Okay, yeah, so we're just good to attack here. If they block, their Spider Umbra comes off, and then they lose out on 2 damage on their Glade Cover Scout. If they draw, they do get to redraw here with the Canopy. If they don't want to, sure. I feel like I would have probably, maybe they don't have a basic forest in their deck, but I feel like I probably would have redrawn end step to like see if we could double spell. Dryad Arbor, okay. We'll kill the Dryad Arbor. Ooh. Iteration. How good is this? If it hits a Murktide, that's 2 outs, and it wins. If it hits any blue card, then we can pitch the blue card to Force of Will. If it hits any creature, we get a chump blocker. I'm pretty sure Iteration is just great here. It's going to be really hard for it to, like, completely miss. We could even iterate again and put Pierce in hand to have the Force up. I like that, just to like maximize our digging towards like a bolt at this point. Yep, bolt to hand. And now we're just deterministically winning this game unless they have an uncounterable. I don't know what they would have to have. They'd have to have some. I don't think there's anything. We would have to let this resolve. Then we would lose. Cool. Pick up game 1 against Bogles. Yeah, there. Okay, post board we get EEs. Subtlety seems fine. Stern Scolding seems great. Dress Down seems great. Spell Pierce still seems pretty good. In terms of cards we can cut, it's possible Ragavan's not great. Put Ragavan on the chopping block. It's possible like we don't need all these, like we can shave an iteration, we can shave a heat. So we're bringing in 8, cutting these. And then it kind of, it's interesting what our plan is.
I mean, maybe it's the Unholy Heat, since that's really only good if you have the Dress Down to go with it.
Yeah, it could be one more heat. You do probably want to have 5 removal spells so that whenever you draw Dress Down, it's good, right?
Yep.
But I think going down one more is fine, and then the last
Maybe
card
one of
is.
the hard, maybe one of the hard counter spells, since you've got all the specialty ones in.
I think I still like the hard counter spells because if we, for example, well, maybe it's not. They're not as good on the play or on the draw. I was gonna say they're very nice if we subtlety their creature and then get to a counter spell, but yeah, I could see maybe trimming a counter spell or a force of negation, maybe.
Yeah, because you've got the 3 Pierce and the 3 Scolding. So I'd be inclined to think you don't need one of the slightly more expensive ones.
Could we have cut one bubble?
I don't think I want to cut bubble, because if we're keeping DRC in, we kind of
Yeah.
need the delirium count. I mean, this hand would be great on the play, but on the draw, it's a mulligan. It does nothing to interact with their turn one creature, and then it struggles to, yeah, it's just a mulligan. Okay, this hand is sweet. The only problem with this hand is we don't have any interaction for their turn 2 play either. So it gets a little dicey. We'll put back consider. Hopefully they don't grow their guy too fast to get out of range of our heat. Oh, well, that works. We'll just play EE for one here. If they put Umbras onto the Glade Cover Scout, it would be safe, potentially. So I assume they have an Umbra here. But then it sets us up to go dress down plus Unholy Heat and kill the creature. Oh, they don't. Interesting. Very interesting. And now I think we're just huge favorites to win because we can take 3 and blow up EE on the end step, and then we can have counterspell, stern scolding, dress down up. They would have to have a lot of creatures. We can shock here in case they like play 2 creatures. We can stern scolding and counterspell. They have no creatures. Subtlety's probably fine because we can. Oh well, if I knew, if I knew there was another subtlety on top, then I wouldn't have kept the first one. That's unfortunate. They're drawing a card. My thought is subtlety is nice here, even as like a flash threat, where we can just flash it on their end step as a 3/3. Because our plan here is just to keep their creatures off the board, but we do need to apply pressure at some point, probably. I don't think it's like super urgent. I think that their deck just has a lot of air at this point. Oh, let me unmute Mickey Baron 96. So has anyone been playing RCQs? I just took one down yesterday.
Yeah, congrats.
It was nice.
What did you
I,
play against?
against or with?
I mean, I know you play Rakdos sack.
Yeah, I played Rakdos Sack. I played the Mirror 3 times. I played against Green twice. I played against Mono White Humans, and I forget what else. But it was yeah, it was definitely a smaller event. Um, but we take it.
Yeah.
Cause I played one before, and I lost in the finals, so
You,
that was a bummer. I lost to humans in the finals. That's why I decided to play Rakdos Sack next time. I was like, I'm not gonna, not again.
what did you play previously?
Green.
Oh yeah.
And I lost to blue white humans, which had Reflector Mage, which was really good against me. Uh, there's like bounce my big guy that's trying to block. Then I can't replay it either. Very, very good. Our opponent is up to 7 cards. It looks like they're playing green-white control. No creatures. Alright, we can cast Subtlety here. Get an island. I was considering shocking in case they like Path to Exile us, but we still have one more island left in our deck, and I don't think it's necessarily smart to go down to 6. I don't think it. I probably think it doesn't matter, but also they should have probably played the Glade Cover Scout. Well, maybe they had to crack the canopy to draw the Scout. Now we're giving them false hope. They think next turn they put the Scout on top, and next turn they'll be able to play it. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Oh, look at that! This slippery Bogle had a second Scout lined up. Stern Scolding crushes the Bogles matchup. They don't stand a chance anymore. Another Stern Scolding. I'm gonna counterspell this because I think that if we just put them to 3 here, they're pretty much dead. Nice. Okay. 3-0. Will we 5-0 this time? We haven't played any Bowmaster decks yet, so the Stern Scoldings have still been good though. They've still been fine. When Living End evoked Grief, we got to Stern Scolding it. Then they just had Violent Outburst plus Force Negation anyways, which was very not cool of them. Ooh. So this is a hand that's kind of dicey on the draw these days. Very dicey, in fact, I'd say. If they're like on Tron, this hand is pretty good. If they're on Yawgmoth, it's probably not the greatest. It's not the worst, but we need to draw a removal spell. It just always feels very risky keeping a hand without a removal spell in the blind on the draw. GL and HF. Alright. Let's keep. I'm keeping, but I'm going to be very aware if they are threatening Bowmaster for turn 2. Watery Grave. So is it the blue black? It looks like it might be blue black. Interesting. Because if we think that they are,
Could also be mill, but
it could be mill. Yeah, it could be mill. If we think that they
well,
shocked here, there's a decent chance they might have fatal push.
yeah.
We could try to feed the DRC, but they also just don't have to kill the DRC, but normally they would. But then, if we want to hold up counterspell the next turn, then we don't get to play Ragavan until turn 3. So I think that in spots like these, it's just generally better to just play the Ragavan and see if they have it or not. If they have it, good for them. If they don't have it, they're in a tough spot. And we can protect our Ragavan pretty well behind these counter spells to get some amount of advantage. Okay, they did have it. I think it's still fine. Like, the DRC probably plays fine better into the late game and is less of an immediate threat. Okay, so it still could be mill. If it's mill, then we can, it is mill. Okay. Oh, they milled a Murktide and a Lorien revealed? That's sad. Because my plan was definitely... My plan was definitely to, well, let's see, okay. Let's fetch shock here. Should we just jam a Murktide here? 1, 2, 4. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Cause then if they, even if they like mill us for, oh, okay, they have Archive Trap. They have another Archive Trap. Uh-oh. Now this looks bad. If they have, oh, you're kidding me. We're just dead. Oh, we're not dead. Wait a second. Okay, we're very much alive. And alive and kicking because
Wait.
if they don't have 2 mill spells here, we win. Oh my god.
Grab.
Uh I'm gonna let this resolve, I think. Cause they need to double spell. Which hopefully becomes harder. We do have to counter the crab, unfortunately. But they need to have one more spell after this.
Sure.
Sure. Is there anything? Nice. Okay. Well, we we barely survived. Barely. Scoldings seem fine. What seems bad? Subtlety might just be bad, probably. It's only like hits the crabs, which doesn't seem that great. Then again, Scolding doesn't seem that great either on the draw. On the play, it seems a lot better, I think. The reason I say that is if they play a crab on the draw and we're on the draw, we have to bolt it or heat it or something. And then if they have the opportunity to play another one. So it's like kind of awkward to hold up Scolding. So maybe we just don't play those. Is there anything else that seems worse? Like we want all of our creatures. We want this Fury. It adds more expensive cards to our deck also, which is nice. Though we cut Subtlety. We could bring in the Commandeers. Kind of seems like a meme, but maybe it's not bad. You gain control of target non-creature spell, choose new targets for it. Like if we steal one of the Like Tasha's Hideous Laughters, maybe it's decent. Probably not. Probably not actually gonna deck them. It's probably just be like a overcosted Force of Negation. So maybe we want a subtlety here.
Maybe go to
And cut and consider maybe.
maybe take out Liz.
Take out what?
Like maybe take out one or two of the unholy heats to bring in one or two subtleties because that's a bigger hit for Tasha's Hideous Laughter.
I think that the removal spells are actually pretty important because the crabs are like it's a similar concept to burn where the crabs are reoccurring effects and you probably want to limit those.
Yeah,
Um,
true, but
that's
I'm trying to think. Aren't half the crabs immune to unholy heat without delirium?
yeah, but think about how quickly they give you delirium because they're milling you. So
Fair.
delirium is pretty easy to achieve. I like your line of thought though. I do. I also think Blood Moon is often very nice against them. There's a lot of times where it just means they can't cast spells anymore, so we should actually board that in. Probably over Expressive Iteration, because casting cantrips is kind of bad against them. Ha! This hand is so close to being very good, but it's a mulligan. But actually, a mulligan just means more cards that go to our graveyard. More cards in our deck, I mean. Mwahaha. Right into our master plan, they fell. I'll get rid of this Unholy Heat and hope they don't have multiple crabs. Getting rid of a removal spell also means drawing another removal spell is more live. And they could just have literally no crabs. They also could be saving the crab so that they get to like play a fetch land along with it. Then we have to ask ourselves if we uh we have to ask ourselves if we want to dispute this or just let them mill us for 6. Letting them mill us for 6 is probably fine. Dispute is a much bigger payoff. We'll still just bolt them in step. Yeah, I think 1 mana mill 6 is fine. It's like pretty below rate if your deck has 55 cards. So they fetched away the push and they used the delta. If we draw a land and it's not a fetch land, we can jam Murktide here. If it is a fetch land, I'm not sure if we want to jam Murktide because we have to be careful of like Archive Trap into Tasha's like last time. But we did see last like how effective Murktide was at quickly clocking them so that they got choked on cards when they were just casting like multiple Ancestral Recalls. So it's pretty close. Okay, I am going to cast this Murktide Regent. Get rid of creatures if possible normally from your graveyard because they could have Crypt Incursion in their deck. And if they do, you want to get that out of there. Okay.
That's an archive trap coming.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like there's an Archive Trap coming. Question is, should we spell pierce this? think we might as well. Visions to draw one is fine. Oh, wow. We could just play another Murktide here. That puts them dead next turn. DRC also puts them dead next turn and holds up Dispute, so that seems like the better play. Though DRC dies to push, but if they have push for DRC and we like Mystical Dispute something, or we consider and then hit another spell, then we still can make a 10/10 Murktide. Like we still have a chance to make a 10/10 Murktide next turn. The crab. Alright, let's dispute this, looking for a land. Or just any spell to go in the graveyard. Now they need to have Murderous Cut. They do not have Murderous Cut, so we win. Sweet. Oh, they could have still had Murderous Cut. They had a land drop, but they don't. Murktide Regent is broken. Against Mill especially. Against Mill I usually say basically unless your 7 is the nuts, if your 7 doesn't have like Murktide Regent or like some removal spells and some counters and stuff, I normally mulligan. Like a lot of the marginal hands that have cantrips and stuff, it's just better to mulligan to 6 and keep any hand that has Bolt, Murktide Regent, Spell Pierce, like 2 lands. That's like just all you need basically. Often. I mean, it's a slight over-exaggeration, but Murktide Regent is just far and away a house against Mill. And any hand that has a Murktide in it is probably a much bigger favorite than any hand without Murktide, because that gives them a lot more time. Ooh, wow, yeah. Okay, I'll keep this. The classic Ragavan Force of Negation combination. Second Ragavan doesn't help us too much, but I guess it might. We could just let the removal spell resolve the first time, depending on what deck they're on. We have to be careful of Bowmaster, probably. If they Fury scam us here, it's kind of annoying, but we do get to keep the Fury off the table. Then we have to decide if we want to risk Bowmaster and play our second Ragavan or not. We probably would have to risk it, to be honest, because especially if we don't hit a land, it's just really bad. Oh, we're getting Fury scammed. That's unfortunate. Which do we want to pitch? We do really need to find a second land. Just because, like, iteration's a great way to get value back into this game. So I think we should probably keep the Consider and pitch one of the counter spells. So yeah, that interaction was not great for us. But it also wasn't horrible. It was just a 3 for 3, right? Maybe we're supposed to play Ragavan here. No, I think we're supposed to Consider. Look for a land. Okay, bin monkey and miss on a land. Okay. But iteration is not a bad one to draw if we're missing on lands. And it's possible, if their hand is reactive, we could just be in good shape still here. So if they take our counter spell, we have to be really careful about showing our monkey into a Bowmaster. I have to assume they have another land because they just fetched Swamp. Yeah. They take Ragavan, so I think that means they don't have Bowmaster, which is good to know. Are they about to play their own Ragavan? Oh, another Thoughtseize. And they take Iteration. Okay. We draw Murktide. It could be good. It could be good. Okay, so they don't have a 3-drop. They don't have Bowmaster, they don't have a 3-drop, they have 2 cards in hand. It's pretty suspect. I am not going to play this DRC into a Bowmaster. Oh wait, they could have Bowmaster. Oh, they don't. Shit. Okay. I should have played the DRC there because yeah, they have Grief, Hardcast. Okay. Well, I will kill the Grief. Yeah, because we were pretty confident that they didn't have Bowmaster. And playing the DRC there means we would have gotten to Unholy Heat their Grief for value. Because I'm pretty sure they have to take Murktide here. If they don't take Murktide here, they definitely have like Terminate as their last card. And if Terminate's their last card, like if they take, yeah. Even if they do have Terminate as their last card, I think they're supposed to take Murktide. Okay, there's my monkey. Show me what you got, and what that means is you're supposed to show me nothing. You're supposed to have nothing here. Another Grief. Ugh. Gross. Man. We just got put in a pretty tough spot.
That's not the worst, I think.
Is this the worst?
No, it's not the worst, I think. I don't think it's the worst spot.
Oh, yeah, it's not the worst. I agree. Trading now seems better than waiting. A fetch land gives us Delirium. Spyro? If we just draw a fetch land, I think we're in actually pretty great shape. Oh my god. Just like all these small minor things just go wrong and it's just like such a weird game where I feel like we've gotten really
This is literally like any fetch land or any bobble, right?
Yeah.
right.
Oh,
Like
man,
like there's like a million cards that are just like immediately winning here, and now instead we're probably about to get like blown up by a Fury or something. Oh no. Okay.
Oh.
In that case, I think there's like a pretty shit. I think there's a good chance they have a discard spell, honestly, but we have to sacrifice the bauble to get delirium here, so they do have a land on top, which is good for us. If they like terminate something here, yeah, I did kind of I had the read that terminate was one of their cards they were holding, but I don't know what the other card is. The good news is the land is not any help. The other card could definitely be like a Thought Seize. Because we topped a card, they would definitely want to Thought Seize us, but it's kind of if that happens, it happens. Alright, let's fetch to 12 and iterate. That way if we hit like a red spell, we don't have to fetch shock. Alright, bobble on top is good. We'll just take consider though. We want to find a blue card here. Ooh, Bolt is also pretty tempting though. That's really close. I think we're supposed to bin the Bolt, but it's really close. Winning the game a turn earlier does seem nice, but
Well, if they had Fury, they would have hard cast it last
right,
turn.
they have to draw the Fury here, but we're pretty sure they're losing currently, right? Like we know one of their cards in hand is a land,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we don't know what the other card is, but it's clearly not a removal spell for DRC, or they would have killed it. And I think that it's
believe this.
probably like an Undying spell.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I think. Because there's no
So I
way
think they have
Thought
2
Seize.
bricks. So the question is, if they draw Fury or Terminate, do we want to keep this Bolt? I'm torn on the answer, but also this takes away a draw step from them. But really, a land also kind of takes away a draw step because we can flash Subtlety. So I'm pretty sure it's just put it in the bin. Gives us a little bit more.
Okay. It's not so bad.
I think that Douthie, sure, that's fine. That's kind of good against our subtlety. Maybe we should have binned that to bait them. That'd be kind of interesting. Oh, now we kind of have to be afraid of a bolt? Ooh. Huh. Ooh, terminate on top? That's not good. That's really bad for us. Shoot. Well, we just got like max punished here. Yeah, now we're just gonna lose. Unless we draw a bolt. Damn, I guess we should have kept the bolt and just had to fade one draw step. I guess that was just a mistake. Yeah. Wow. It had to be terminate. is painful. That's really painful.
Well, I guess they had what, Terminate, Bolt, and Fatal Pushes outs there.
Maybe we should have subtlety'd the Douthie so that we didn't lose to Terminate immediately. But I wanted to keep Fury as not an out. Bolts? 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 Also, land was an out for us. I still feel like binning the Bolt was correct because blue card or land was good. And most red spells were also good. But then maybe we were supposed to subtlety the Douthie because we had the read that their hand was air. And then at that point we know we just want to not like die to the Douthie if they draw like a removal spell the next turn. But then Fury is live. I mean, now we're dead. But that's pretty pretty interesting spot. Do they have Leyline of the Void or do they have Hearse these days? I guess either way we probably want to bring these. Damn it. We could have squeaked that game out even though it was like so bad for us. Like we were running really unlucky. But we still could have squeaked that game out if we had maybe made the correct decision. One Pierce could be fine on the play, and then like one Force of Negation on the draw maybe. Definitely don't want to have Ragavans in. I'm keeping this because we have Fury, and we have a Murktide. Counterspell answers their 2-drops, so overall it just seems like we're in a pretty good spot. And mulliganing is just generally not great against Scam specifically. Hmm. Also, if we do draw a lot of lands in a row, Otawara Channel can be pretty decent against them sometimes. The one thing we really don't want to see here is Ragavan. Thoughtseize is fine. And I'm not going to cast Consider in response because I don't want to inform their take. For example, if they want to take away our Murktide Regent, and then we consider in response and draw another, then they would just take away like the counter spell instead. So they take counter spell, which is interesting. We'll do this on the end step to make sure they don't like grief us after. I wouldn't really be upset if they did grief us, but alright, we just have to dig for a red source here. Counter spell? Oh. We could play this tapped. Makes it kind of obvious we didn't draw a removal spell though. But again, the life difference can be pretty important. I think playing it tapped here is fine. Next turn we'll iteration. Probably. Unless if they play like Douthie, we probably won't iteration. Oh, we're getting grief scammed? And they stacked the triggers wrong. Okay. Go nuts. I assume they'll leave us with Fury here and take the other two. Makes the most sense. But then we have a lot of live draws to potentially just like kill their grief and get value with our Fury. All of our hand is really powerful in 2-for-1s. I guess if they had a Terminate in hand, that they would take the other two. So this kind of tells me they probably don't have Terminate in hand as one of their cards. DRC. We'll play DRC. Huh. Maybe playing DRC is loose just because of Bowmaster. Not drawing a fetch has been pretty costly because getting that card type into the yard just seems very, very important. We could have waited on the DRC. But then again, if we draw a fetch next turn, we're in better shape for it. Okay, and they shock. Does this mean Dothy? Oh, Dash Ragavan. Okay. No whammies, please. I don't know what a whammy would be. That's fine. Filter that off the top of my deck for me, please. Do me a favor. So their last card is Ragavan. That's a pretty good draw against Ragavan. It's a pretty good draw. I guess the other option there is we could have tried to eat the Ragavan in combat, but if they drew a bolt for turn, that would backfire pretty horribly. I think just put the Ragavan on the bottom of their deck here is the better play. They don't attack with Grief. Weird, because it can't block and it has Menace. So I don't really follow that. I am going to attack with my Subtlety. I feel like I should just play the DRC. If they have the Bowmaster, it is annoying, but we do have Fury, which is good. And if we draw a fetch land here, it puts us in a really nice spot. Spyro. That's pretty good. They discard Leyline of the Void. Funny. Okay. And then they evoke Fury. Fuck. I guess evoke Fury isn't that bad for us here. But we did let them just like draw into a Fury, so maybe holding the DRC. Wait. What? Okay. Well, they gave us a lifeline there. I don't know what happened there, but that was not what they should have done. Okay, iteration's a good draw. Um, Cast Consider. Bin DRC. Bolt. Attack. Because if they attack with the Seasoned Pyromancer, it's actually kind of hard for us to block in this spot because they could have drawn an Undying spell. So if they're just going to play out the land, though, that's also fine. There's some incentive for them to play out the land because it lets them activate Seasoned Pyromancer if we Fury them, I guess. But now we're just having... Hold on, so we hit them for 3 to 5. They hit us to 4. We hit them to 2. Yeah, we just win, right? They hit us to 1. We kill them. We have double counterspell. Okay, so we force a game 3. After some very loose play from our opponent with that Evoked Fury. I'm not sure what happened there, but we'll take it. We'll call it payback because of what happened in game 1 where we probably should have won, but we made a mistake. Nice. Okay. Cool. Now I think we bring in a Force of Negation over a Spell Pierce, just to potentially buy us some tempo. I think Hardcast Force of Negation's also potentially not the worst, so... Ooh, this hand is good. Yeah, I think this hand is good. Grief Scam is the scary thing against this hand. Oh, Leyline of the Void is also scary. Oh no, please don't do both. If they do both here, we're just like completely dead. They just
Not
have...
to interrupt, but I've got a keeper mull for a game 3 here.
Let me put it in what's the play.
I can share my screen real quick, a little faster.
Sure.
Where is it? Here we go. This is game 3 on the draw versus slivers with like Ether Vial and stuff.
Alright, so game 3.
On the draw versus slivers.
I would definitely keep this, yeah.
They've
You
got,
you have Fury. If you draw any removal spell, this is great. They mulliganed.
yeah, but I'm not playing the DRC right away, right?
Why
I'm
not?
gonna hold it. I'm gonna hold it for Fury.
Wait, what do you... No, yeah, I would just hold Iteration for Fury. I'd play the DRC probably. You're on the draw? I mean, we'll see what you
Yeah.
draw on your first draw step, but DRC is generally pretty good in these spots because it applies pressure pretty fast. And like, we'll either iterate on turn 3 or and then we'll probably like play DRC and then turn 3 like iterate and Fury them. That'd be my play probably. Okay, so our opponent shocks Blood Crypt and passes. We have an Odawara to remove Okay, we'll take another iteration. We want to draw land still. Yeah, okay, so that's how I was thinking out loud. So we basically just want to play as the control deck here, try to bury them in card advantage. We're not gonna give them our DRC into their Bowmaster for free. Ragavan. The problem is they could have an Undying spell, right? That's kind of the problem here. But what
I mean,
if...
that's the only thing that would make sense, right? If they were holding up Fatal Push on turn, or Fatal Push or Bolt turn 1, so they could play
Yeah,
Monk
it
as
feels like
Undying.
that's what's happening is they have Fatal Push or Bolt and they have an Undying spell. So given that, probably means we have to Stern Scolding here. sees us. Okay. You want to take my Murktide? They have no lands, so they have spells. Wow, look at me, I'm a genius. If they don't have lands, they have spells. Um, I'm still casting the iteration now. And I'm looking for something that's not a land. Punished. Darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Just burn the cast into the fire. Okay, maybe I should have waited a turn. I was nervous because... No, yeah, it was loose. It was really loose to burn it there. That was really bad because I also, like... They could have Bowmaster. Dothy. Okay, that's fine. We'll heat it. We're still in fine shape here because this DRC is actually getting us pretty decent value. Okay, not gonna make the same mistake this time. I'll just have Counterspell up. They evoke Fury and we Counterspell. That is good for us. Counterspell is very good against Scam. They've put Leyline into play and then done nothing. Um, the problem is if they dash Ragavan here, the Unholy Heat is actually just bad for us. So I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna give them the opportunity to dash Ragavan. Alright, now let's cast Iteration. See what we can dig up this time. Bin a land.
Okay. We easily
Okay.
won that game.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bobble. Bin Murktide. So we put a Murktide. So there's no more Murktides in our library that we can of cards we can draw. So that's good, I guess. We'll take another Bobble. As long as they don't Bowmasters us here, we're in very good shape. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. That's fine.
Are you playing your list from the most recent posting?
No, I posted in the channel. I updated a little bit because of the rise of Tron, which wasn't really anticipated by me at least. I heard murmurings of it like right the day before the PT, but not when I was building the previous list. But now that I am aware of Tron, I am changing the list up a bit, just to focus on making sure that our Tron matchup stays positive, so that
You
and I
and
think that
Donkey didn't qualify, right?
no, qualifying was Pioneer, which is really weird, isn't that? Like,
Yeah.
that was pretty frustrating to me
It's really
because
unfortunate is
I
what
think
it is.
I think I had a really good shot in Modern, but in Pioneer I'm like much less engaged with the format, and so I'm definitely a lot worse at it than I am at Modern.
I think that's everyone's sentiment.
Yeah, a lot of Modern
I don't
players
know who's
definitely have
engaged
the
in the format. besides like some
Yeah,
streamers or something
no,
like
I
that.
think you're spot on. Okay, so they're
Cool.
just passing.
Yeah, I've started playing Phoenix at RCQs because it's Murktide and Pioneer.
Except for Phoenix is like, I feel like it's a lot worse in Pioneer than Murktide is in Modern. I did play Phoenix for a little bit. I tried to play Phoenix at an LCQ in Dallas, but I just could not have success with it. There's too much random stuff going on is kind of the feeling I got where and you're on one hand you're very consistent, but on the other hand you're spinning your wheels a lot with Phoenix because you have a lot of cantrips and so you're not very efficient necessarily. You're kind of more of like a weird combo deck. That's how I
Yeah,
describe it.
I found a build that got rid of Ledger Shredders completely, so it's playing more like Thing in the Ice control with some birds on the side.
Uh-huh.
And I got rid of pieces of the puzzle now because it feels terrible, and I put strategic planning in because it's always 3 cards in the graveyard, and I can cast it for 2 mana.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Whatever, it's Pioneer, no one cares. It's terrible.
All right, I think we're in really good shape here. I kind of wish these unholy heats were lightning bolts though.
Yeah.
But scolding on Spyro.
Feels like they kept a hand with like a Thoughtseize, a Lightning Bolt, and the Leyline of the Void, expecting Leyline of the Void to carry them.
Yeah, but it has not.
They also had Ragavan and Undying Trigger, I think.
They did have Ragavan, yeah, and we're pretty sure they have an Undying spell too, so their hand definitely had some stuff going on. I'm not saying it's a bad keep, but I do think that our deck is very capable of beating this stuff. And then once you further like layer in the fact that oh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like sometimes they can just like draw Leyline in the Void and it's like a dead draw later in the game, so it's
So
kinda
the
it's
list in
kinda
the
it's
chat,
kinda dubious, I guess.
the list in the chat is the list you posted on the Patreon.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
Oh,
Look, there's like commandeers in the sideboard for Tron, which we didn't face Tron, but
I'm looking at the right chat, right? Let me see here. Archetype
in
Gaming.
the
Oh,
announcements
the
chat,
announcements. Okay, okay, okay.
like the streaming announcements chat.
I
Yeah.
see it.
Yep.
So it's cutting subtleties for. I know the subtleties are still there.
No, the subtleties are still there. What we did, the changes we made is we moved a Force Negation to the main deck and cut one of the Lorien reveals. I didn't really think that you actually needed 2 of them. I think one of them is kind of nice. You can like occasionally you can cast it as a recall, and occasionally, but like in general, I think that it's not really that great. And I think another Force Negation would be really nice to have right now. So if we just
Hmm.
unholy heat this, and they give it undying, it doesn't matter. Sure. So it comes back with a 1/1 counter on it, but I don't care. I'll consider. Um.
You probably want that against a Terminate or a Fatal Push, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the problem is their last card could definitely be Fury, right? I guess if they had Fury, they would have gone for. I already used a Fury. I just feel like if we bend this, we're in like better shape because if we draw a land, oh no, wait, we can just. Oh, we can top this, play Murktide, and then if we draw another blue card, we're good. Fury doesn't beat us either. Okay. Yeah, I'm in for this then. Do we need to like fetch to thin here? Let's just get all the lands out of our deck. I forgot that we have 7 lands already to play Murktide. That changes things. I just don't want to lose to Fury here, because I feel like that's one of the best cards they could potentially have. But because we can cast the Murktide, we don't lose to Fury. We beat Fury. Flying Tribal for the win. now they need to have 2 removal spells, but we have the force negation, so they can't have 2 removal spells. Boom, 5-0, right?
And it'd have
Yeah.
to be like exactly 2 terminates, right?
Here we go. Thought seas.
Sure, they're done.
Sure. Sure, that resolves. You're at 1 life. Boom! Okay, let's go. The trophy. Let me move my Discord monitor back over.
Living
Nice. That was awesome. So looking at this list, I mean, I don't really know if you need 2 Commandeer. That's like kind of aggressive unless the meta becomes a ton of Tron. It's definitely possible that the meta could be a lot of Tron, but maybe just like 1 Commandeer is fine. On the other hand, I do kind of like having 2 of a card like that because it's a card you basically want to have like in your opening hand or draw very early in the game so you can sculpt a plan around it. Whereas drawing it randomly late game is really awkward because you need to have 2 other blue spells in hand still, right? So it's like kind of a bad top deck in a top deck war. That's the downside. But the upside is like if you commandeer either a Karn or a One Ring, you're just crushing your opponent because you get to just like either turn off all their artifacts, like Stony Silence is really good against Tron, or you get to just draw a bunch of cards with One Ring, which immediately gets you back the value you lost with Commandeer and probably just buries your Tron opponent in value. Because we have so many counters that if we could just like counter all their stuff while be drawing like 5 cards, then we'll just quickly kill them with like a Murktide or something maybe. That's the theory behind it. I'm not gonna endorse 2 Commandeers necessarily though. Um, maybe just 1 copy is fine, or no copies. I'm trying to figure out Tron though. Maybe Alpine Moon could be good, especially if we see Saga decks make a comeback into this meta. Potentially Alpine Moon could be a good middle ground where you can like Alpine Moon Tron but still play like a tempo game. Because my thought is Blood Moon, the awkward part of Blood Moon now is that they have 8 4-drops that can kind of play through Blood Moon essentially. Um, and so you want to take them off Tron, but you still want to be very efficient and apply as much pressure as you can basically. Is my thought. So maybe Alpine Moon could be revisited. Have like 1 Blood Moon, 1 Alpine Moon. Something like that could definitely be a possibility. Um, but yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and awesome that we got the 5-0. Feeling really good about Murktide still. I think Tron actually, one note is that Tron actually works to push out Omnath, right? So we're actually rooting for Tron. It's not that it's like an amazing matchup for us. It's kind of close, but Omnath is a very challenging matchup and matchup that we don't want to face. So if there's a deck that's pushing Omnath out of the meta, which Tron is, that's a win for us. Like I think the Omnath decks did not do very well in the Pro Tour. Um, I don't know if someone has the data, you can send it in the Discord after this, but that was my understanding was they didn't do great, and I think a big part of that was if you get paired against Tron, not good for you, and also Murktide, if it's less of the metagame, then that's like 1 less deck for the Omnath decks to kind of try to prey on essentially. Um, so just overall, like very positive metagame trends for Murktide, and we kind of are potentially going to be in a period where we get to benefit from being the underdog for a little bit.
We're gonna be under the radar.
Exactly, like when you're flying under the radar, the meta is not as adapted towards you. Historically, Murktide has always been the top dog, and there's always been it's like been the Murktide check, which is like if you can't like have a reasonable time against Murktide, then your deck's unplayable.
I was
Um,
looking at some of the lists from the PG that were playing the Murktide players, and they didn't seem like very updated lists.
yeah, I mean they were interesting. I would definitely not. I wouldn't say that their lists were not updated, but they definitely took different directions. Like I think maybe you saw Serum Visions or something,
Yeah, I mean
or
they just looked like
Yeah.
lists from 2 months ago or something. They didn't look like
mhm.
I didn't really understand. Um,
What specifically? I'm curious.
I don't know, the one I saw that they had on coverage, I think it was Alan Wu. It just looked like a list from like May, basically.
Yeah, 2-7 million.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the two serum missions. Those players are very smart, and so I'm curious. I might reach out to one of them. I've talked with Stefan before,
I think there was
and
9 players total playing Murktide, right?
yeah, maybe Pygonti and I will invite Stefan on and try to like record a video with him and see if he's willing to like talk about his
Did
choices.
he do the best? How did he do?
No, the person who did the best, he went 8-8, and I think
Yeah,
he
well,
went 5-5 in modern. And then there was another person, Frank, uh, Frank something. I don't know his last name because I think he's Greek, but his MTGO username is Odanielakos,
oh,
who he's played a lot of Murktide before. Um, he also, I think he did really well. I think he went like 7-1-1 or 7-2-1 with Murktide.
oh,
7 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. So maybe we'll invite him on as well and just try to talk to some of the Pro Tour players about their lists and about their perspective on the meta and if they like their choice or if they regret their choice. I think that could be a really interesting segment. So we'll see if we can
That'd be
get
really
that
cool.
organized and get that content for you guys. Um, but yeah,
Okay.
cool. All right, well, I have to run. I'm going to end the recording here. Thank you, everyone who's watching on YouTube. If you made it this far, that's pretty impressive. And awesome 5-0. So I'll go ahead and get that uploaded. And don't let people tell you that Murktide is dead. It's not. It's actually a lot of the trends I'm seeing are looking good, guys. So obviously, I'm biased though. So obviously, I have to call out the bias in the room, you know.
I was at my FNM and that was brought up as like Murktide's dead. Look at all
Yeah.
these decks playing these cards, right? And I was like, they're all playing ring decks, and I was like, wait, I could just like have a field day playing Spell Pierces and Black
Yeah,
Mage's Charms, like let's go.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you know,
Annul.
you just the decks are so punishing these days that you have to play really tight, which is always a tough part. Like if you make a mistake, like I did against Scam, I got punished. And so
against me.
it's still
Yeah,
tough,
Scam is
but
tough now. Like that matchup is tough now,
I still
and
think
you have
it's
to play perfect
favored. I
pretty much.
feel like with
I
like
think
all
it
the
does
subtleties and
hard
furies and
against.
stuff, I feel like I'm just kind of and stern scolding. I feel like I'm kind of just crushing Scam, even though the games seem close. I'm like coming out like ahead every time.
Yeah, your
But
list against your list from before the PT is like perfect against Scam. It is
mhm,
fantastic against
yeah,
Scam.
yeah.
But you still have to play like perfect. You can't if you make a small mistake, you could just lose from that. Your
I
margin
was
is still really small.
I was at Cincinnati. I played against 5 scam in a row. I won like I did 3-1-1 against it.
3-1-1. Yeah, that sounds
I
about
did like
right.
that.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if our win rate was like much higher than, you know, 65%
Yeah.
against Scam. Like that's a really high win rate in the matchup. But like probably I do feel like we're probably somewhere around like
Yeah.
55 to 60%, which is right where you want to be. It gives you, you know, and not to mention if Scam becomes a really popular deck, there'll be a lot of opportunity to face inexperienced pilots, and that's where you can showcase if you've really practiced your deck, then you're going to turn that from like, 55% into like 75%. That's just kind of my experience having played so much Murktide. Often I go up against players and they're just giving me, opportunities to win a game that they should have won. So, yeah. All right, cool guys. Well, this will end the recording.